Today we're going to be looking at a few copies of an excellent early 60s album, Something for Everybody. And I have copies from the US, the UK, and of course Japan. And there are a few big differences between the Japanese versions and the ones from the other countries, but we'll get to that at the end. So let's begin with the first copy that I have. That's an American copy. I believe this is from the early 1970s. There's a back cover with the later albums on there. And it has an Elvis in a sleeve. And the last album on there is Love Letters. And that's what makes me believe this album is from the early 70s. And so it's therefore on the orange RCA label. RCA Victor it should be, but as you can see, they've cut away the Victor logo because they were not allowed to use the Victor name. And they did the same thing with the cover as well. I did a whole video about covers and labels which were abused in this way when they were imported into Japan. I can't really talk about this album without going off on a bit of a rant about the cover artwork. This is the UK 1961 mono cover, and one good thing they did is they put this white border all the way around. That looks pretty stylish, I think. But just like with the American version, they included the track listing on the front here. And I really don't see the need for that because all of these were new recordings and none of them had been released on singles. So it's not as if they were famous songs at the time. And in Canada, I think they actually got this cover right. They centered the photograph and they did away with the track listing. And it looks much better than any other version except for one that we'll come to later. However, in the case of the UK release, the back cover was worse. And this is what it looks like. So you've got the picture from Wild in the Country, the sleeve notes here, track listings, and so on. So far, so good. But then over here on the left-hand side, you've got this picture of Elvis with these hideous black slabs either side of him. I think this picture came from Wild in the Country, and I think it's from the scene where he's singing to Tuesday Weld. So they've probably removed the wall and the stairs that you can see behind him in the movie. But why not just use a different photograph rather than putting these ugly black strips there? It just smacks of a lack of care that you got so many times through the 1960s with Elvis's LP covers. And I hope to do some videos next year talking about the artwork in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. I'm going to do them decade by decade. But anyway, that's enough ranting about this cover for now. Like I said, that's an original UK pressing from 1961. And it's on this really nice old black RCA label. I also have a stereo copy from the UK from that period, early stereo pressing, and the cover design is exactly the same apart from the stereo mono wording. This one is not quite as nice as the mono one, but it's rarer, so I just bought it when I had the chance. The label is very similar, just has the words Living Stereo at the top there. I have another mono UK pressing, and this is more unusual than the first one we looked at. Again, the cover is just the same. However, this one dates from 1968, and it's a red dot pressing. Quite rare, that one. I've got one more UK copy from 1971, and I'm sad to say that the cover got even worse than the ones from the 1960s. There's the front cover, the border's gone, and the photograph no longer looks like a photograph, it looks like an illustration. The shirt's gone from red to purple as well. The back cover is the same as before. This one was released on the orange RCA Victor label. This is very similar to a copy that I owned back in the 1980s. Finally, let's get to the Japanese copies. This is a very rare pressing from the late 60s, early 70s. It's impossible to date it exactly. This is the first RCA version. And the back cover is a typical 60s back cover with the lyrics and Japanese sleeve notes. There is actually a printing error on this particular cover, and for some reason there is a line that goes through Elvis's shoulder and up to the side there. It looks like the original artwork was slashed somehow and they've tried to cover it up. Japanese orange label pressing with the deep groove labels. I mentioned at the beginning that there were some unique points about the Japanese versions, and you can see that with this 1961 mono copy. They used this completely different cover, completely unique cover design with this photograph from 1956. Superb front cover. I really like that. This is one of my very favorite cover designs of any Elvis album, in contrast with the ones we just looked at. And typical Japanese back cover from the period. This, of course, is on the Victor label. Very nice copy. There was, of course, a stereo version released as well, and here is the stereo cover. Slightly different, it just says Living Stereo up here in silver. I have actually seen a copy where Living Stereo was over here on the left side, stamped in gold. And the back cover is the same as the other one. Labels are slightly different, with it being a stereo one. Beautiful copy that. Looks like it's never been played. And it wasn't just the covers that were different about the Japanese pressings, mono and stereo. The running order was also different. There's no reference to rhythm side and ballad side on the Japanese pressing. And what they did was they switched them around. So the album begins with I'm Coming Home and ends with Gently. So there you go, top album from 1961. I'm on the lookout for one of those Canadian pressings, and if I get one, I'll show it to you. But that's it for this week. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Thanks for watching. Cheers.